Okay. Uh, can you open your cameras? So I can see if you're really there in front of your um, desks or tables and not lying down sofa or somewhere else like in the mall. From time to time, I'll be asking you to open your cameras, okay, for me to see if you're really listening, participating, really there, working out the exercises, or see if there are any, listening to the discussion. Uh, you like juniors? Are there any seniors here or all are juniors? Can send a message into the chat box so I can know. I haven't checked kasi yung mga year levels nyo, no? So far, 14 are present, checking attendance. Okay, 15. And by the way, I am your lecturer for Math 90.1, Advanced Calc, Part 1. I'm Mr. Paul Dayaw. I graduated with a BS Math degree here, there also in the Ateneo 2001, and then took my masterals part-time, finished it in 6 years. Because uh, just taking like one or two subjects a semester, then thesis, research. So I finished my degree, master degree 2008, and got lazy with pursuing my PhD. Anyway, uh, real analysis is perhaps your really first real advanced math course. Do you agree with that? Or did you already take other advanced mathematics subjects? If you had linear algebra 2, I'm not sure if there's a linear algebra 2 which doesn't use matrices, no matrices at all, coordinate free, linear algebra. Anyway, or abstract algebra. You already took abstract algebra? Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Anyway, uh, advanced calculus is really uh, the really real analysis proper. Okay, although we call this advanced calculus. But anyway, in other universities, like abroad, they already call it real analysis. I'm not sure why the math department called this just advanced calculus. I have a different advanced calculus subject in mind, like where you take multivariable calculus, perhaps calculus on manifolds. Anyway, but this one deals, of course, with the analysis of real numbers. That's why it's called real analysis. That extends up to uh, the topics you've discussed in ordinary or uh, college calculus, right? Derivative, the integral, and others. But before that, let me show you the syllabus. And I suppose you've already seen it. And you may have noticed that we will be having 4 modules for the course, which covers real numbers, because this is real analysis, limits and continuity, sequences and series, and the Riemann integral. And you may be wondering why we haven't included the derivative when it is needed really to prove rigorously the fundamental theorem of calculus. And that is due to uh, the uh, shortening of time allotted for the semesters. during our time, we used to have a lot of weeks for one semester. In fact, we had 8 or 9 weeks for the summer classes. Now it's only 5, right? So I suggested though to among my uh, co-teachers to include them still, okay, if we have the time. But uh, perhaps that would be considered for the next year, for the next batch, okay, course of math majors who will be taking up the subject. During our time, it's only the pure math or the BS mathematics who were taking up the course, okay, real analysis. But now I've noticed that other math, do you call these courses, are they still under the math department, right? Like, uh, I'm not familiar anymore with some of them, like the MSc or what's that, the DSc, or I'm not familiar anymore. Okay, but anyway, uh, that means we won't be having differentiation, so we will only have 4 modules in all, and we won't be discussing the fundamental theorem of calculus, unless otherwise, of course, agreed upon by the teachers. But well, anyway, we have already uploaded the syllabus, so we will have to stick probably with the one we have here. So notice also that we will have 3 long tests, one for each module except the last module. But for the final exam, we will be having all of them. That means it will be comprehensive, modules 1 to 4, although we won't have a long test map for module 4 due to the lack of time. And perhaps the students would be overloaded, right, with a lot of requirements, okay, or assessments for the course if we were to have another or 4 long tests. But notice also observe also the dates, by the way, the tentative dates. I think that September 9 will have to be moved because some announcement I forgot. But anyway, these are tentative schedules except, oh, okay, for the final exam, we don't have a definite date yet. So please wait for my update. But there for long tests 1, 2, and 3, Wednesdays, September 9, October 7, November 11 are the tentative dates for the long tests. Now, long tests will be 100 points each. So that's 60% of your grade. And then 100 points for the comprehensive final exam, which will be 20% of your grade. And another 20% for other assessments like quizzes, on-site quizzes, perhaps problem sets if we don't have time for the quizzes, and perhaps mm, class participation. But I don't think I won't be factoring that into the assessments. But anyway, all in all, it will still amount to 100 points. Okay, that part there on participation. Anyway, this is the first time I'm going to teach Transcal. That's why I'm not that familiar with this one here. But we will definitely have on-site quizzes for that. Okay, here's our text friend. I'll be sending the other. There's the link already there, the hyperlink. So you can just click on that when you download the syllabus, and it will lead you straight into the website where you can download it for free. French Introduction to Real Analysis. However, I will be using my own textbook, the first one there in the suggested readings. It actually serves as a lecture note for the course because the examples there and the proofs, the illustrations will be the ones that I will actually be using in class. Okay, the very same examples and proofs for the important theorems. And I will show it to you later, uh, so you can perhaps benefit from the book. Now, for the grading system, if you want, you're already familiar with the grading system, di ba? 92 for an A. 8% of 500 is 40, so no more than 40 mistakes if you want to get an A in a real analysis course. Okay, this is perhaps the hardest math you will be taking for your bachelor's degree in mathematics. Anyway, if you just want to pass, of course, half of 500 to 50, of course, you don't want a B, at least aim for a B or even a B plus or an A. And just please take note of some of the class policies, like the use of calculators, borrowing is not allowed, graphing calculators are not allowed, cell phones are not allowed. And by the way, also during exams and quizzes, you won't be allowed to use smartwatches. And that's why I will be requiring the class to remove uh, their watches, whether they are smartwatches or not. So I don't have to check one by one during quizzes and exams. As to textbooks, students again are strongly encouraged to have a copy, a hard copy of the textbook, or if digital is available. So that would be preferable, right? So you can copy and paste. Okay, anyway, it's reference for lectures and of course the practice exercises. That's where the textbooks, the references are where you will be getting them, the exercises, the problems. Okay, so you can prepare for the exams. Attendance will be checked, 6 absences only. More than that, W. 15 minutes late, half an absence. Beyond that, an absence. On-site lagi ang long test and quizzes. Number 7. In case there are late submissions, say for problem sets, 1 point deduction per minute, regardless of the reason. Students must work independently and are not allowed to communicate with anyone unless, of course, it's class discussion, seat work, okay, or perhaps problem sets, and you are grouped, okay? So you can, of course, work among yourselves to discuss, okay, the solutions to the problem sets. Mistakes in checking, you have 2 days after the requirement is returned to report to me, the oversight. If possible, assessments will be returned within 2 to 3 weeks from the date of submission. I'll try 2 weeks or even 1 week. For missed long tests and quizzes, no make-up for quizzes though, but for long tests, of course, you know already that you have to submit a letter to me from your parent or guardian, and of course, supporting documents why you missed the exam, like a doctor certificate, within 2 days after the missed assessment. Okay. By the way, long make-up long tests are harder. The others are self-explanatory, like course grades, academic integrity. And by the way, last intersession, we caught 2 students during the midterms using their cell phone to cheat. Okay, they used the Chat GPT or Gemini to like generate the solutions. So they were caught. And they received 0 for the exam, and one was my student actually, so he withdrew from the class. Anyway, disciplinary action will be pursued. Okay, uh, whenever a student, okay, cheats in an exam or plagiarizes uh, the work of others. As to privacy and data protection, all materials in the course modules, recordings of the synchronous sessions, uh, should not be posted anywhere on the internet, nor shared with individuals who are not enrolled in the class. Infringements will result in disciplinary actions. If any of the course material is caught to have been uploaded in any form to any platform or website online, or offline shared, the persons responsible for it will be reprimanded. If any assessment item is caught to have been uploaded in any form to any platform or website or shared offline, let's say it's a problem set, the persons responsible will get a zero for the said assessment. Taking photos, recording videos of class lectures, regardless of modality, is not allowed. However, in case the instructor allows for photos or videos to be taken, these should not be made publicly available without the consent and approval of the instructor. For non-lecture photos or videos taken in class, like group photo, first seek the consent of your instructor and of classmates involved prior to posting online. Posting without the prior consent of the instructor and of classmates involved will be considered a breach of privacy, will result in disciplinary. And of course, you're familiar with the academic conduct and gender policy of the Ateneo. You may just click on those hyperlinks to read on them if uh, you are curious. Provisions to convert to a fully online class. If due to unforeseen events like emergencies, inclement weather, okay, emergency, uh, mga transport rally, okay, strike, this course is converted to a fully online class in case, like, di ba, nung nagka-COVID. Then all affected on-site sessions will automatically be online synchronous sessions held via Zoom. Attendance will still be monitored based on the reports setting in Zoom. Moreover, all affected assessments will be taken online. In case lang naman yan. Ha? I won't allow the use of AI. Wala naman tayo probably magkaroon ng ano, no, di tayo magkakaroon ng problem sets unless wala ng time. Tapos meron pa tayong natitirang assessments para dun sa 20%. And there you have my consultation hours, my contact details, pdayo@ateneo.edu. Tuesdays, Fridays only, 9:30 to 11 by appointment. We could have, of course, online consultations, but be sure there's another student, and I prefer that there are at least, okay, 3 students, okay, whenever we uh, set up an online consultation. Are there any questions? Just raise your hand or send a message into the chat box. Okay, so is everybody present? All right. So everybody's here. Now, as to the lecture notes that I will be using, I actually generate or post, sorry for the commercial, uh, my real-time lecture notes in the other subjects. That's for uh, the lower year levels, like Math 21, Math 30.13, calculus yung mga yon. Sorry for this. So this is a sample page of my own book, which is published by De Gruyter just last August 3, 2026. If you wish to, of course, I'm not trying to sell you the book, but just in case you wish to buy either the digital or hard copy of the book, you may want to like share among your classmates, so you can just like uh, have access to the digital, which is I think better than the hard copy, or perhaps purchase the hard copy pero medyo expensive. It's 65 euros. So if you convert that, I'm not sure kung 70 or 80 ang exchange rate. But anyway, here's a sample page of the book. So for instance, we'll be discussing one of the most important theorems, fundamental theorems in real analysis, which is the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem. And if you look at the way the theorem is proved, okay, actually the proof is divided into several steps. Like if you look at this one here, we have says there the trap. So this helps you to really like digest, kumbaga sa Tagalog mahimay-himayin yung proof para hindi one whole paragraph or page yung binabasa mo na isang kapag kasi ganon nakaka-overload. So when studying, you can just like for this hour, just try to understand that particular step of the proof, then perhaps an hour later or tomorrow read the other part. Ganun ako mag-research. No? By the way, I'm a researcher also, and that's the way I do it. And whenever I research, I try to make a book. But I do it like very slowly, just one subsection a day. But I try to do like several books at a time. So my other books also, like for abstract algebra and linear algebra with Springer and CRC will be coming out soon. But anyway, this is the very first book that I have written, and this is my favorite subject among all the mathematics subjects, real analysis. Now, if you look at the uh, discussion of the proof, so as I have said, proof is divided into several steps. Yung nag-highlight that. So like the algorithm, the limit, and then this is a visual book. So the title, in fact, is a visual. Look at my own title. It's a visual approach from metric space, from action fields to metric spaces. There, a visual approach from field actions to metric spaces. Visuals, actually diagrams, figures, help a lot. Okay, help students a lot in understanding the proof. Especially masyadong abstract ang real analysis. Ano yun, nawala na tuloy tayo. So, Bolzano-Weierstrass, where are you? So here's chapter 3. Exercises at the end of each section, by the way. So you see the visuals here, like when trying to define the lim sup, the lim end, it's the book like gives you a visual to help you like imagine, visualize the proof or understand the definition geometrically. Source the Bolzano, this is an important one. Ito yung unang-unang theorem na nag-struggle kami sa real analysis. Ayan, si Bolzano-Weierstrass. So yun nga, bukod sa naka-step by step, there are visuals that help you understand what's happening, what's the proof's trying to do. Okay? Kaysa you visualize it yourself or try to do one yourself, so nandun na siya. However, this is not our textbook kasi nga si Trench muna ang ginamit ko, although the head teacher allowed me to use my own book, but dahil nga yung syllabus, naka-model na yung mga sections doon kay Trench, wala na akong time. But ito yung gagamitin kong lecture notes. So there you have it. Okay? Examples, and then exercises at the end of each section. Ayan. So if you want to like purchase, just type my last name, Dayao, and then real analysis. So I'm not trying to really, make profit here, but I only have a few complimentary copies. So I will give one to the department and to the other teachers. So limited lang kasi sila. Any questions? So let's have day 1 lecture. Unless may tanong. So let's start with the real number system. Here we will be discussing fields, ordered fields, and if we have time, the completeness action or actions. So again, as I have said in the introduction or in the beginning of the discussion of the syllabus, real analysis is about the real numbers extended to the subject of calculus. That's why it's called advanced calculus. So in our basic calculus, we took the real number line for granted, right? But if you are asked to define what's the real number line rigorously, how would you define it? It's like Euclid's postulates. What is a line? What is a point? You cannot prove, okay, what a point is or what a line is. You can only define them. And as to properties of such geometric objects, you simply like receive them on faith. Like a point is a figure which has no dimensions. A line is a figure which is straight with only one dimension, and it's straight. But in fact, in non-Euclidean geometry, lines may not be like the lines we imagine them to be. Like parallel lines in some uh, non-Euclidean geometries may intersect. In some, lines may be curved. So what is a line, right? And here, what is the real number line? So we treated it simply as a continuous geometric line to draw what? Graphs of functions on. So in this course, we will study rigorously this exact structure before we can, of course, prove higher theorems on limits, derivatives, the Riemann integral. We must ask what exactly is a real number? Why is it called real? So we can no longer rely, in other words, on our imagination or on geometric intuition or pictures, visuals, which can be sometimes deceiving. I one was deceived when I was trying to do my undergraduate thesis because I've been trying to imagine things that it inspected rigorously are not really true and not really there. So we must build the real line from the ground up. Kumbaga, i-deconstruct muna natin siya, okay? And then we will use logic, logical rules to establish the real number line. So to construct it, we must like look at the rules that we have been using all along, like 2 times 3 equals 3 times 2. We know that to be true for real numbers. In fact, when you go to abstract algebra, that may not be necessarily true for any group. Okay, groups in abstract algebra are not really commutative. If they are commutative, you call them abelian groups. But the real line is satisfies the commutativity property for addition and for multiplication, right? A plus B is the same as B plus A. A times B is the same as B times A. And all the other properties that you've been using all along in arithmetic, algebra, and in calculus, like you can distribute over a sum or difference, right? And other things. So we collect all these properties and ask what they all up to make the number line work. So, for instance, we must be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide smoothly. This will make up the field actions. Also, we must be able to compare numbers. They must have size or magnitude and direction. Is it to the left or is it to the right of this particular number? Which one is greater? Which one is lesser? When are they equal? When is a number positive? When is a real number negative? So to this, we need the order actions. And then lastly, we need a continuum. That is a system where there is no loophole or hole. Okay? And the real number system, as it turns out, is such a structure. The set of all real numbers does not have holes. Okay, as we shall see later. So to this, we need to discuss the completeness action. So for today, we will systematically construct the algebraic and ordering rules before addressing the topological holes. Let's begin by defining what a field is. And by the way, when you go to abstract algebra, you will be revisiting this. A field is a set F, capital F, along with two operations: addition, which is usually denoted by plus, and multiplication, which is usually denoted by a central dot or a center dot, which satisfy specific actions for all its elements A, B, and C as follows. First, the actions of addition. You know this. If A is an element of capital F and B is also an element of capital F, if I want this system to work, right? If I add any two elements, I must stay inside the field or the set or the group. We can't have like adding two elements in it and the result going outside of it. Then that means there's nothing we can like deduce, okay, at all. So the sum of two elements must stay within the field. Also, this is intuitive, right? A field must satisfy the commutativity property of addition or for addition. A plus B equals B plus A. Now, sir, why are we doing this? Aren't these things too obvious? Well, when you go to abstract algebra, these things do not necessarily mean numbers or real numbers. They could be matrices. A can be a matrix. They could be functions. So A and B are not necessarily real numbers. So to generalize, we require for any field that the sum of any two elements in it stays in the field, and also that the sum of any two elements, it does the order in which you sum two elements doesn't matter. Also, the associativity property. If we add A and B first, then the result we add to C, we should get the same result if we first add B and C, then add the result to A. There must also be an additive identity. Why is it called the additive identity? Because when you add anything to it, you get the original number. There exists a unique element denoted by 0 in the field, in the set F, capital, such that A plus 0 is equal to A, and this is for any A in the field. There must also be an additive inverse for every element in the field. That is, for each A in the field F, there must be an element denoted by the negative of A also in the field, such that if I add it to the original number, I get the additive identity 0. A plus negative A is 0. Now, I want you to understand that although they may seem obvious because we tend to think of real numbers, these are not so when you consider fields that do not contain real numbers, okay, whose elements could be any other mathematical object. As I have said, like matrices, functions, sequences, and others. Of course, there are corresponding actions for multiplication, also closure. We multiply two elements, the product must stay inside the field. Closure. Commutativity also for multiplication. A times B equals B times A for any two elements. Associativity for multiplication also. Okay? You multiply A and B first, then the result multiply to C. You should get the same result. When you first multiply B and C, and then the result you multiply to A. And this holds for any set of elements there, A, B, and C. Multiplicative identity must also exist, just as with the additive identity, except for the zero element. Okay? Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of the multiplicative inverse already. So for the multiplicative identity, there must be a unique element, 1, denoted by 1, in the field. It must be there, okay, not 0, such that if you multiply any element to it, you just get the same element. A times 1 equals A. There must be a multiplicative inverse, except for, of course, the 0 element for every element in the field. An element denoted by A inverse, such that if I multiply it to the original element, I get the multiplicative identity. A times A inverse equals 1. Of course, since commutativity is assumed, then also A inverse times A must be equal to 1. Distributivity over addition. And by the way, we don't have subtraction here. Okay? Subtraction is just addition. Okay? But you add the negative of the element. So distributivity over addition. A times the sum of B and C is equal to A times B and A times C added together. So you sort of just distribute the element over the plus. So while the actions guarantee the existence of identities and inverses, kasi yan yung ginagaranti ng ating mga actions to, no? Ano nga ba yung action? Sa mathematics, ano tong actions? Ano sila? Ano ang purpose nila? Anyone? Bakit kailangan munang mag-assume tayo? Kaya tinatawag silang action. Because we cannot prove everything, right? You have to start with fundamental truths or properties to start proving things. And these actions cannot be proven themselves. So kailangan mag-start muna tayo ng mga assumptions at pwede nating piliin yung mga assumptions natin para mapagana natin yung sistema na gusto nating i-construct. Kagaya nga ng real number line. We're trying to construct the real number line here. Okay, using these properties. Now, if you notice, doon sa mga properties, pinostulate natin na laging may mga identities at mga inverses. There's an additive identity, 0. There's a multiplicative identity, 1. There's an additive inverse, okay, for each element, and a multiplicative inverse for each element denoted by negative A and A inverse. But here's the thing. They do not yet, okay, dictate that these elements are the only ones with such properties. So in addition, okay, we will have some other properties, but first, let's have a taste of how's it like to prove here in real analysis. So let's prove this one, which is a result of the properties combined together, or just some of them. So in any field F, the theorem states that the identity 0, additive identity, and the multiplicative identity 1 are unique. Okay? Actually, kapag binawasan kasi natin yung mga assumptions, yung mga axioms, pwedeng hindi sila unique. But the way we assumed or the way we like structured the actions, they ensure that the identities are unique. So paano natin kaya ipoprove yan? No? Try natin. Unless nakita nyo na yung ganitong proving, o nga, ba't kailangan pa natin i-prove yan? Diba isa lang naman yung 0, isa lang naman yung 1. Well, sa arithmetic, tsaka sa algebra, tsaka sa calculus, ina-assume na lang natin yan. Pero eventually, yung mathematics kasi nag-develop. Hanggat sa naging systematic and rigorous siya. Ang calculus, alam nyo ba, hindi naman nag-start yan na systematic. Basta nag-imbento lang sila ng paanong mag-calculus. And then saka na lang in-establish yung foundation. Sino bang nag-imbento ng calculus? Dalawa sila? Anyone? Oo. Baka hindi nyo alam sinong father ng calculus, ha? Fathers. Oh, paki-send sa chat box. Sino ang naka-imbento ng calculus? Dalawa sila, nag-away yan, nagdemandahan yan. Yes. Independently nila dinevelop yan. Kala ni Newton, pinalegiarize siya ni Leibniz. But yes, credited yan sa kanila. Pero ang notation na ginagamit natin, yung notation ni Leibniz. Yung dy dx, partial f with respect to x, no, yung parang ganito. Yan. Si Newton kasi dot yung ginamit niya, pang physics. But anyway, let's prove this one. I will only discuss the proof for the additive identity. And by the way, ito rin, no? For each A in F, the additive inverse negative A is unique. The multiplicative inverse also unique. Hindi ko ipoprove yung last two sa part 1, statement 1. I will only show you the proof for the additive identity. I want you to reconstruct a parallel proof for the multiplicative identity, and for your assignment, prove numbers 2 and 3. Diyan nagsisimula. Okay? Pag nahirapan ka dito, definitely magi-struggle ka sa susunod na mga proofs natin. So, let's use the method of, okay. Assuming, hindi pala to contradiction. So, we begin by assuming there are two of them. Okay? And then we prove that they are equal to each other. If we can do that, we have just proven the theorem. So let's begin by assuming there are two additive identities. Namely, we will use the following symbols para ma-distinguish natin yung dalawang additive identity. 0, tsaka 0 prime. Si 0 prime, hindi yan derivative ni 0. It's just a symbol. We could use like A and B. Pero para direkta na kay 0 yan. 0, tsaka 0 prime. Let's begin by using 0 prime as the identity. What is the property of the additive identity? Again, what does it do? What is its unique property? It's the only number which, if added to any other number, yields the same number. A plus 0, right, is always A. So dito, in the proof, we use this as the additive identity. Anything added to 0 prime is that anything, right? So if I add 0 prime to this number, since 0 prime is an identity, additive, I will just get the other number. So hindi pwedeng 0 prime ang ilagay ko dito, okay? Because here, I'm treating 0 prime as the identity. Okay? Then, what do we do next? Any suggestion? How do we prove that the two identities are identical or equivalent? Anyone can follow up with the proof. Just unmute your microphone. Sige, class participation. Yes. Can you explain, Mr. Rivera? What is our resulting equation? Can you write it down? Type it down. Yes.
Magiging 0 prime plus 0 equals 0. And since it's commutative,
All right.
it's equal.
Here we treat 0 as the identity. So if I add it to 0 prime, I get 0 prime. Now, mapapalabas na natin na equal sila. How?
By commutativity, sir.
Yun. Okay, by commutativity. Hindi mo pwedeng idiretso yan na, sir, dahil 0 plus 0 prime at 0 prime plus 0 ay equal, so equal din yung 0 tsaka 0 prime. No, you have to use the commutativity property. Kasi kung walang commutativity property, hindi mo pwedeng i-conclude yon. That's why sa pag-construct natin ng real number system, kinailangan natin si commutativity for addition. Ganon din kay multiplication. Kapag pinroof nyo naman yung uniqueness ng multiplicative identity, ganito din yung proof. So, i-work out nyo yung proof nun using this very same logic. Okay? Papalitan nyo yung plus ng times. Yung 1, yung 0 ng 1, yung 0 prime ng 1 prime. So, as said, by the commutativity action, we know that 0 plus 0 prime and 0 prime plus 0 are definitely equal to each other. Therefore, we conclude 0 equals 0 prime, and therefore, the additive identity must be unique. Okay? So, this one is an exercise for you. Prove the uniqueness of the multiplicative identity. Any question? So we have defined what a field is. Let's look at some counterexamples. Natural numbers. What are natural numbers? They are the counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Positive integers lang, in other words. So what makes it not a field? Why does it fail to be a field? Because, for one, there's no zero. Para maging field siya, dapat may additive identity. The set of natural numbers begins with 1. 0 is not included. Another reason, natural numbers do not have additive inverses, right? What's the additive inverse of 1? Negative 1. But is negative 1 a natural number? Is it in the set? No. So, the set of natural numbers fails to be a field. Integers. Bakit hindi field yung set of integers? Kasama yung negative, di ba? Kasama yung 0. Because as shown there, not all elements, in fact, okay, almost every element does not have a multiplicative inverse. The only element that has a multiplicative and inverse is what element? Sa set of integers? Alin lang na element sa set of integers ang may multiplicative inverse? Sorry. Just send messages into the chat box so I know you're active. It doesn't mean one has sent one an answer, you don't send yours. Okay, by the way, Please open your cameras now. So I know you're in front. You're there in front of your cameras, your cell phones, your tables. Open your cameras. Kaya ayoko talaga tawag dito, nag-o-online. Minsan parang kausap mo sarili mo. So make sure, okay, open your camera. I want to know if you're there, where you are. Kasi kahit online tayo, you are required to be present, okay? Uh, Mentally, physically, tawag doon, virtually. Okay, cameras please. Want to see others. Tingnan natin yung gaano kakit kayo. Okay, ito pa lahat. Okay, 1. What's the inverse of 1? Multiplicative, 1 din. Dahil yung 1, nandun siya sa set, may inverse siya sa set. But the others like 2, di ba? The inverse of 2 is 1/2. But 1/2 is not an integer. How about rational numbers? Can you explain to me whether, okay, the set of all rational numbers is a field or not? Is the set of all rational numbers a field? Yes or no? Ano ba? Check natin. May inverse ba ang bawat rational number? Hello? Yes, it is. May inverse, tama? What's the inverse of A over B? B over A. What's the inverse additive of A? Negative A. Correct? If A is a rational number, the negative of A is also a rational number. If A over B is a rational number, then its multiplicative inverse B over A is definitely also a rational number. And the rest. Matrices. You already took linear algebra, I believe. You know that matrix multiplication is not commutative. Anyway, hindi naman natin tatakil talaga ang matrices dito. So let's begin proving again with this problem. Let's prove that the set of all numbers in the form or of the form a plus b square root of 2, where a and b are elements of Q. Math BBQ, that's what we use in LaTeX to write that down, meaning set of all rationals. So if we collect all of them and denote them by this symbol, Q of square root of 2, will we have a field? Yes or no? Quickly, a minute. Analyze nyo lang muna. Field kaya ito? Yes or no? Yes lang? Kailangan closure meron, di ba? If I add 2 elements, will the result still be in the set? If I multiply 2 elements, nandun pa rin ba? May inverse ba? Meron bang additive inverse ang bawat element? How about multiplicative inverse? Is there an additive identity? Is there a multiplicative identity? Siyempre, yung 0, nandun. Kailangan meron siyang, there must be an additive identity. Is 0 in it? Is 0 an element of that set? Is it? For it to be an element, what should be its form? A plus B square root of 2, where A and B are rationals. Is 0 in that form? Miss, yung nakikita kong babae dito sa gallery ko muna. Miss Arbatin. Ganito talaga yung real analysis sa may participation sa class. Miss Arbatin, are you there?
Hello.
Or sorry, Evelyn Arbatin.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Can you explain to me if 0 is in it or not in it?
Zeros in it.
Yes, why?
Yeah, since you can set A equals 0, B equals 0, and both
Yes.
of them are rational numbers.
Yes. How about 1? Others?
1? Yeah, A equals
Alright.
1, B equals 0.
Alright. How about the others naman, no? If I add 2 of them, will the result still be there?
You add what?
Others? Others naman? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How about Mr. Embalsado? If I add 2 of them, will their sum still be there?
Yeah, since kung A plus B square root of 2, meron kang element na yung ganon, tapos C plus D square root of 2. Pag ginad mo sila, magiging A plus C plus B plus D square root of 2. Ang A plus
Okay,
C,
very
since
good.
we know that close siya sa rational number din siya, tapos ganon rin sa B plus D.
Okay, the
So,
sum
ganun
of
pa
2
rin yung form.
rationals is a rational. So therefore, this is a rational. This is also a rational. So definitely the sum is in the form of the set. For multiplication, shortcutting ko na ha. So expand nyo lang. So yan na yung expansion, di ko napakita. So since A, B, C, and D are rational numbers, so it follows that AC is a rational number, 2BD is a rational number because 2 is rational, product BD is rational, sum is a rational. Kaya this is a rational. So is this. So it's in that form. For the multiplicative inverse, you use conjugation. You multiply by the conjugate. And the result will be this. Just verify. We're trying to get the inverse. And we're going to check if the inverse is there. So we rationalize to get this. And then we regroup. We write as this. Para meron tayong something plus something square root of 2. Ang tanong ngayon, yung mga nakaparenthesis na yan, nasa Q ba sila? Rational numbers din ba yan? Can you explain? Nathan Christopher?
Ayan, sir.
Yes. Can you explain if these numbers or expressions are also rational numbers?
They are rational numbers
Why?
since adding two rational numbers gives a rational number and dividing two rational numbers still gives a rational number.
Or we did not add two rational numbers here, ha? Kasi ito may square root of 2. So tama ka naman, dividing two rational numbers is a rational number. Pagaya dito. But we have to qualify that. Hindi pa complete yung proof mo kung sakaling sinabi mo yan. Ano yung kulang? Ano yung kulang sa sinabi niya? Yes, let me see. Teka, hindi ko makita dito. Yes, denominator should not be 0. Mr. Rivera, thank you. But, are we sure it's not 0 always? Why or why not? You cannot divide by 0. So we must ensure, guarantee na hindi kailanman magsi-0 yan kahit ano pa si A and B. Anyone? Bakit non-zero lagi yan? So gamitan natin ng parang contradiction style, no? Assume natin 0 siya. Anong mangyayari kaya? If it becomes 0, then this is what will happen. What's next? Bakit hindi pwedeng mangyari yan? Actually, proof ito na irrational yung square root of 2, di ba? Have you seen the proof why square root of 2 is an irrational number? Let me see. Austin Ramos,
Yes, sir.
can you explain?
Kasi magiging ano po, sir, A over B squared is equal to 2, which
And
would
then?
imply that square root of 2 is equal to A over B.
And where's the contradiction?
A over B is an element of Q, which is a contradiction, sir.
But the other is what? Not an element of Q.
Yes.
Q complement.
Yes, sir.
Contradiction. Thank you. So, there. We've just proven this problem. Okay, continuing. So, the field actions define, okay, the rules of arithmetic, but they do not allow us to compare the relative magnitudes of the numbers. So, we need the following definition of an ordered field. Kasi, sa pagkaka-define natin, wala pa tayong order doon. Ano ba yung order? Merong mas malaki, may mas maliit. Okay? So, given any two elements, we can always, okay, tell. Halimbawa, may dalawa tayong element no, sa field na ito. Kailangan alam natin ito, either mas malaki si A, mas maliit si A, or equal sila. Wala tayong makukuha sa mga properties so far na magpo-point dito na may order siya. So in addition to being a field, we need to put some order. Hence why it's called an ordered field. An ordered field is a field F that contains a spatial subset denoted by capital P. This is the notation for subset of. Both the set of positive elements. So ito na, binubuo na natin, kino-construct na natin yung real numbers. Alam natin, ang real numbers, may positive, may negative. Pag na-establish mo na itong structure na ito, magkaka-order na lang siya bigla. Okay? So magsisimula muna tayo sa pag-create ng positive set. So what makes it positive, by the way? What makes a positive number a positive? In fact, we could have redefined the negatives to be the positives. Don't you know that? And the positives to be the negative ones. Pwede yun. Babaliktad yung x-axis mo. Magiging ordered field pa rin siya. Pero syempre, hindi yun yung nakasanayan. Hindi tayo kaliwete eh. Di ba? In a sense. So, to construct the set of real numbers and any other ordered field, they must have a subset which we call the positive subset or the set of positive elements satisfying the following three actions. First one, trichotomy. Ito na yung sa order. For every A in the field, only one is true. Either A is in the set. If not, the negative of A is in the set. If neither, A is 0. Remember, P is the positive set of elements. So common sense to, di ba? If 2 is not positive, then the negative of 2 must be positive. Pwedeng ganon. So let's take negative 5. Negative 5 is either in the set, not in the set, or it's 0. Yun lang ang pwede. Wala nang pang-apat. Try nyo mag-invento ng pang-apat dyan. Wala na. Okay? Trichotomy. Kasi tatlo. Then closure under addition. Of course, dapat. Sum ng dalawang positive numbers, dapat positive. So para ma-construct natin yung set of positive numbers, idadagdag natin itong property na ito ng P. A plus B is always in P whenever A and B are in P. And syempre, alam nyo, a positive times a positive is a positive. So para mag-work yon, kailangan natin ng closure. Iko-closure natin si P. Gusto nating sigurado tayo si P closed under multiplication. So idadagdag natin tong axiom na ito or presupposition. If A and B are elements of P, then their product is also an element of P. And then dyan naman gagaling yung negative times negative is a positive. Hindi lang dahil gumagalaw ka in the negative direction. Diba? So, babaliktad ka, magiging positive direction yon. But logically, it's because of these order actions. And thus, from the order actions, we can define the standard inequalities now for elements. Yung greater than, less than na natutunan natin sa elementary, malalim pala talaga yon. Kapag tinignan natin sa abstract point of view. So, if the order actions are assumed for the field F, then given any two elements in the field, we have the following. Either A is less than B. Now, what do we mean by A less than B, by the way? Diba? Kung abstract lang yung A, abstract yung B, wala naman talagang designation pa na real numbers yan, how do we define something is less than something? Now, na-define na natin yung positive, di ba? Lahat ng nandito sa loob nito, sila lang yung positive. So lahat ng nasa labas niyan, non-positive kasi pwedeng 0, di ba? Neutral sign. So, if we want to define something like this, then we can use what we've learned about transposition of inequalities. Tama? And this tells us B minus A must be positive. So we can define it to be simply in P. Kaya ito yung axiom natin. We say that A is less than B or B is greater than A, binaliktad lang naman, if and only if B minus A is in P or it's positive. We define it to be less than or equal, A less than equal to B, if and only if either A is less than B or if not, they are equal. And we say that, okay, A is positive nga if A is an element of P or equivalently, A is greater than 0. Ito na siya, no? Si A greater than 0, hindi natin to inassume. Okay? Hindi natin siya inassume. Wala tayong sinabi na, okay, lagyan natin ng 0, lagyan natin ng negative 1, 1.1, 1.01, 0.1, square root of ganito. We simply started by constructing a positive set and then lagyan natin ng mga axioms. The sum is in the set, the product is in the set, and then we define A less than B, A greater than B equal to. And then finally, we define what makes a number positive. Okay? Hindi lang, of course, dinefine na natin to. It's a positive number, sir. Sabi mo nga, kapag nasa set siya. But additionally, because of the order actions, it is equivalent to say or state that A must be greater than 0. Okay? So, i-prove nyo yan. Okay? Paano tong nag-follow? Ang exercise na to bakit naging equivalent yung dalawang yan? Gamit lang yung order actions O, pag negative naman, ayan. Negative A is in P, di ba ang definition natin? So, the equivalent definition is this. Once we put order. Prove this part 2. And then we have the properties of inequalities. These are very familiar, so medyo pasan na natin ito So, if A is less than B and B is less than C, then A is less than C. Transitivity. If A is less than B, then, alam niyo to, A plus C is less than B plus C, called translation invariance. If A is less than B and C is positive, you know this, the sense of the inequality is retained. AC is less than BC. If A is less than B and C is less than 0, you reverse the sense of the inequality. A squared is greater than 0, no matter what A is, except 0. These 5. Basic homework, okay? Exercise yan sa algebra. Any questions so far? We're about to end. So, hindi ko na inisa-isa yan. Sit work yan for practice, homework. Oh, here, I actually have the proof for the 5th one. Okay, try to look at it. And if you have any question. So ito yung proof na the square of any number is positive. So sometimes kayo ang magre-research kasi hindi ko i-discuss lahat. Wala tayong time. So sometimes yung mga proofs medyo i-explain lang. Pero ito kasi you won't do well in real analysis or advanced calc kung hindi ka nag-advanced study. So I want you to actually read at least 2 sections in advance. Kung kaya nyo ng 1 chapter in advance, start as soon as possible. Kung may free time kayo. Mga math majors naman kayo, di ba? So, alam nyo na yan. And for the pure math, doon ka pupasok no, sa research talaga. At dito nagsisimula no, ang research. So you may just want to view the recorded session whenever you have the time kasi naka-record naman ito. And if you have questions on this proof, you can ask me on Tuesday, ha? Kung hindi to naintindihan lang naman. I don't want to, kumbaga, no, yung i-assume na naintindihan nyo rin kasi. No, I'm not like explaining very thoroughly dahil ina-underestimate din natin yung students. Ayaw ko rin naman kasing i-overestimate yung students. Kasi hindi pare-pareho kayo. May magaling, di ba? Yung talagang, sir, pwede bang pakibilisan? Pwede ba, sir, yung mahirap na lang? May ganong students. Pero may student, ang bilis naman ni sir. So, kailangan kong i-balance yun. Ang hirap naman nun. So, tinatry kong, i-gauge kayo. Itatry ko para lang kung gaano kabilis o kung babagalan. And then finally, okay, the absolute value. Ito, hindi na natin masyadong i-discuss ito kasi medyo obvious naman tong mga properties na to. And I want you to read the proof of the triangle inequality. Ayan, nandiyan naman. If you can understand this, then check mo na siya, ha. Lagyan nyo ng mga check boxes yung pag-aaral nyo ng real analysis. Halimbawa, inintindi mo si Bolzano-Weierstrass. O step 1, step 2, step 3. Nakuha ko na si step 1 check. So next time na balikan mo yung notebook mo, ay kailangan ko maintindihan yung step 2. Pag naintindihan mo na, check mo na yan. Ganon yung systematic na pag-aaral sa mathematics. And next time, we will go to the problem of completeness. Hindi pa natin nako-construct si real number system. May kulang. But we don't have that time. Now, if anybody would like to volunteer as class bidders, kasi kay biddle ko i-relay lahat ng materials sa announcements. So may first hand ka na, di ba? Pagdating sa mga ganyan. Anyone would like to volunteer para may assign ko na ngayon sa campus or sa ICs? You can unmute your microphone or send a message into the chat box. Sinong magvo-volunteer? Halimbawa, may materials, easy Xerox, at least first hand ka, makakatanggap. Or PDF. Or walang pasok.
Sir, I can volunteer po.
Yes, what's your name?
Austin po, sir.
Ramos.
Yes po, sir.
Okay, Mr. Ramos, you have to be a responsible bidder. You can never be absent. Absolutely, okay? Unless emergency, nagkasakit ha. So, yan yung nire-require ko sa bidder. And depende sa performance ng bidder, sometimes merong, kumbaga, facial consideration ng pagdating sa grade. I mean, minsan kapag mga borderline grades kasi, halimbawa, 85.5, hindi pa yun B+, di ba? Pero dahil responsible dito siya, yun, okay, credit yan. Things like. By the way, according sa syllabus natin na walang extra credit pala. Bawal manghingi ng problem set, sir, ganito, ganito. Are there other questions? So that's it. See you on Tuesday.
Sir, will you upload the lecture slides po?
It help? Or yung sige, if you upon request, but make sure according to the syllabus, bawal siyang i-share sa other.
Okay po,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Okay, that's it. I'll end the meeting.